look out again over the course here in Lagoa. The temperature here up to 16 degrees centigrade. I think couldn't get kinder weather conditions, couldn't get tougher bends and gradients. We're having a penultimate look over the course here as we go up to senior race. The distance is just under 7.5 kilometres, just over 4.5 miles for both senior races. And what will that give them? 5 laps or so. And the course, sometimes we mentioned we go to lots of different places. It might deteriorate through the day, it might change. It's been very consistent here in Lagoa. And these women will know what to expect, having watched some of those junior races when they're warming up. I'm sure the Belgians will be hoping to get themselves up on the podium again. And Spaniards always bring a full contingent, as do the Brits. The late replacement, Abby Donnelly, previous medalist, replaced by Verity Ockenden, an indoor European medalist, so good replacement for them. And there's the Italians. And, Nadia Battocletti made history last year by becoming the first Italian woman to win this title and led her team to a historic gold. The host Portugal to put on a good showing. And Yasmin Chan back on the podium last year in Antalya, taking the bronze medal. She's the 4-time champion. Back from sort of before the pandemic, if you like. She absolutely dominated this championships, and you never quite know what you're going to get from the Turkish athlete. Good 10K on the roads the other day. But we're going to start with Mariana Machado of Portugal. After a string of age group medals, she's going for her first senior European medal today. Portugal took this title with Jessica Augusto back in 2010 in Albufeira. Jana van Lent has been highlighted from the Belgian team. She's rapidly improving. She was 4th last year and then went on to become the first Belgian woman underneath 15 minutes on the track season. She's backed up by a strong squad, like I said, trying to get another medal for their nation. Here is Yasmin Chan, Turkey, 30-36 on the roads a few weeks ago. Does indicate she could be on for another podium here. Now, Megan Keith is one of those special athletes here at these championships that's won through the age groups. Under 20 gold, under 23 gold. Took a bronze on the track in the 10,000 metres in Rome last summer as well. Just behind this woman, Diane van Ys of the Netherlands. She was the silver medalist on the track in 2024. Very good over 10,000 metres and the European record holder over 5,000 on the roads. But the defending champion, Nadia Battocletti, the first woman ever to win under 20, under 23 and senior titles here at this event, comes in as the heavy, heavy favourite. What a summer she had after those medals. In 2024, she backed that up with a silver in the 10,000 and a bronze in the 5,000 at the Tokyo World Championships. Highlighted athletes already out in front of the rest of them, and now their teammates flood up behind them. The penultimate race here at the European Cross Country Championships, the senior women's race. Another long start line hold for these athletes.
On your marks.
There we go. Oh, and a fall right on the line here from a couple of the athletes. I think I was worried it was Sarah Lahti, the Swedish athlete, one of the 6th placer from last year, might be hoping to get on the podium, but she navigated that okay, right on the inside there. Lahti's got to keep pushing here. The field's going to sweep across her. Another faller there in the middle of the field as well. Back up on their feet before we got a chance to ID the number left behind on the ground. Looks like everybody is carrying on in the race, but 2 falls in the first 30 or 40 metres. We have had a few falls, but that's more than we've seen so far in this race. Machado getting herself into a good position as well. Well, nervous moments never start there for the senior women's race, but great to see Machado, Battocletti up leading the race.
And I shall be interested to see how, to write a picture there in the yellow and blue of Sweden and the dark glasses, see how Sarah Lahti goes here. She was in that Tilburg cross country I worked on a couple of weeks back where she won very impressively. She's won it for the last 4 years, I think. And she ran with real confidence and looked, for my money, perhaps a little bit better than the last couple of years in which I've worked on that race. So Lahti, for me, a likely medalist here, but Battocletti out in front with less than a minute and a half on the clock, and it's a little bit of catch me if you can, I suspect, coming at us this next 20 minutes or so.
And they'll all be watching Battocletti as well. You'll all be gauging your effort of her. There's no point in trying to do something here until you know what Battocletti's race plan is. And I don't know, it is a quick turnaround from that track season, from the wonderful championships Battocletti had in Tokyo. She could be excused for just coasting this, just trying to win. I don't know. Let's see. We'll have to wait for these 5 laps to unfold. But Matawi, the Spanish marathon runner, she's very good over marathon. I was going to say, it's only if you're sort of a marathon, half marathon specialist, you just say, I don't want any of this to lull. I need it to be a hard race. And perhaps the Spaniard decided on that. And yet to see, there she is, Chloe Herbier, just came through our screens. New Belgian national record in Valencia last week of 2020, but she's coming here to try and help the Belgians back onto the podium. So she's a marathon specialist, but a slightly tired marathon specialist, so she's not pushing the pace at the moment.
Battocletti, Machado, Lati, Diane Van Ez over the Netherlands, all the usual suspects up towards the front end. Chan is there. Good to see Chan back towards her best. She was in pretty terrible shape back earlier on in the year, Yasemin Chan. She finished 8th in the European Running Champs 10K, 38th in that race back in Brussels Leuven in April. She's battled back to being somewhere close to her best, Chan, the former Kenyan running for Turkey, and she's in what, about 7th place at the moment.
See, Megan Keith there is up into the top 10 for Britain. She was one of the fallers. I think she was the second faller we saw. I just had a message out from out on the course that Megan Keith did take a tumble. She was up very quickly, and at least it's a long enough race to let your nerves settle. As we see another marathon athlete from Czechia, Hirachova, pushing the pace. So maybe it's not going that quickly. You know, if Megan Keith can get herself back involved after a fall, and we've seen, you know, a succession of marathon runners pushing the pace, maybe they haven't got going here on the first lap. But that's the beauty of cross country. We don't have exact splits. We don't know how fast they're running. You've got to just look at that body language, at the racecraft, and what people are doing to try and figure out what's going on.
Well, they have allowed, is it one of the Czechia athletes to get up to the front end at the moment? I don't think Battocletti is intent on storming away with this in the very early stages. Rokova, it is who leads. Maybe that 15 seconds of glory thing going on here on this opening lap of 5. Battocletti with both those shins taped, which is interesting. She didn't mention anything at the press conference yesterday. I wonder if it is...
I think she always has them taped.
As much, but yeah, I've never noticed it as markedly as that.
Not stripes. She doesn't normally go for the full Italian flag. That's what's eye-catching today. But yeah, I don't know. Again, the first few times I saw it, I kind of thought, oh yikes, what's going on there? And then I've seen it consistently. But Battocletti looking very, very relaxed. I think Nick Griggs is still the most relaxed person we've seen out on this course. Fitzgerald was aggressive. She wanted to try and win by as much as possible. Battocletti looking good. Chan, 4-time champion. Keith, the age group champion, just inside her. And Sarah Lati, as you mentioned, Tim, that dominant win in Tilburg, the 6th place from last year. The Swede, definitely one to watch. The Swedish athletes going well as well. That team medal in the under-20 category right at the start of the day.
Nadia Battocletti, Yasemin Chan, Megan Keith, the British athlete, also in that leading group.
A big pack as we finish this first lap here. As we saw with the under-23 men, it's not quite as congested that. Megan Keith just deciding to step out as around about here she fell at the opening stages, and Keith just stretching away here, looking around. Megan Keith didn't do the British trials for this event. She went over and did one of the big sort of European races on the circuit. She was around about 6th or so. She was behind Battocletti, but not too far behind. I think Keith wanted to go and test herself against an international cross-country field, see where she stacked up. Great run from Seto Turkey behind her teammate Chan.
Chan, such an effective runner, and yet aesthetically not the most pleasing of runners, is she? That really over-accentuated arm carriage. Megan Keith going well at the moment, and Battocletti, you just sort of feel Battocletti has to be holding back here and just letting this these first few minutes unfold to size up the field, maybe let it thin out without her having to do the hard work early on.
There's a decent packing from the Belgians there. We're just trying to see how the team competition's going as we finish that first lap. It's Yasmin Chan pushing at the front at the moment. As Tim said, Battocletti just tucked in there. Megan Keith looking good. Agathe Guillemot, I was going to wonder how the French woman would fare, the European indoor champion over 1,500 metres. It's too early to kind of say that she's going to be a force here. I think a 1,500 metre runner without much experience over 7.5K or so, you've got to be wary of how the pacing might be going. Great to see Guillemot step up to this full distance. She was part of the mixed relay squad last year in Antalya that took a medal. And Guillemot just fighting to stay with that pack. And Diane Van Eyss and Machado at the moment just off this lead pack, the Portuguese athlete and the Dutch woman. Yasmin Chan pushing. Now, we know on her day, Yasmin Chan is such a force here at these European cross-country championships. Right now, she looks great. And I think with Nadia Battocletti, there won't have been any complacency. She would have known a full force. Yasmin Chan is very, very hard to beat here at these championships.
It's amazing, isn't it, when you think that she's only 29, but she won 4 consecutive titles between 2016 and 2019, Chan. She was a massive force, taking all those golds for Turkey, her adopted country. Not to be confused, by the way, with the Turkish-born Yasmin Chan Arslan. But she has come back with a vengeance through this year from that pretty poor run at the European Road Running Championships, the inaugural European Road Running Championships in Belgium back in April, to this sort of form. And now she's really aggressively going into this second lap and pulling this quartet away. And it is, well, a quartet that you might have been able to predict. Certainly they're looking comfortable going with her in the early stages of this assault. And at the moment, the local athlete Machado unable to go with it. She's back in that pack in what, about 18th, 20th place.
And yeah, I'm not surprised that this is a top 4. I'm surprised we haven't got perhaps Jana van Lent getting involved. She's there alongside her teammate Lisa Rooms. And Diane Van Eyss is trying very, very hard to get herself back onto that pack. There's Elena Boucard having a wonderful season, Boucard. The history here at this event, Boucard, through the ages. She's done so many of the events. And we have seen some people get their paces wrong here at this event. But if you look at Lati, Keith, Battocletti, Chan, they're experienced campaigners. They know what they're doing. Van Eyss has got to get herself back to that group if she wants to get involved. I think Diane Van Eyss right now should use this downhill section to try and get herself back onto the coattails of Lati and Keith. But we're just entering the end of the second lap here. Still 3 laps to go, and it's not a tactical race here at the women's. That first lap might have been quite relaxed, but this second lap, they're really going for it. An early team lead for Turkey with 22 points. Belgium in second, France in third. But we're not yet to reach halfway. So much can change on those team standings already. Jana van Lent of Belgium moving herself up to 5th place.
I'm glad Chan has done this, actually, because for the first, 5-7 minutes, it was looking like a huge pack. It was we'd already had fallers in the early stages, and I'm just glad that she's cleaned out and tidied the race up a little bit, even if she's making it harder for everybody behind, because all these athletes are seeing now that they've been dropped with 10 minutes on the clock, well, they're redlining. They're pretty much maximizing the effort they can put in to sustain this race for another 15 minutes or so and maintain the race and finish it in reasonable order. While these 3 tucked in behind Chan at the moment, I suspect her cruising at this stage, but Chan's just got to play the waiting game, hasn't she? And be patient, keep applying the pressure, and hope that she can drop as many of them as possible, the 3 behind her. Battocletti, well, I suspect she's cruising. She said training's been going very well. She's had a couple of really strong cross countries in the last month.
think it was a shot there of Mariano Machado. I think she is not having a good day out there, unfortunately, the Portuguese athlete. She had so many age group podiums with Battocletti. It would have been lovely to have had those two on a senior podium. But she's just slipping back, and conversely, the Belgians are moving through this field. There's Jana van Lent, last year's 4th place. There's Lisa Rooms, Diane van Ice right alongside them, and Chloe Herbier, the 3rd counter for Belgium. Belgium was just behind. So they were back on a podium for the first time in a long time when they hosted the championships in Brussels. Back that up in Antalya, and they are going for it again here. But Megan Keith, you might recognise her from those junior races, from winning the under-20s, and the under-23 win in Brussels at that championships in Belgium is the biggest winning margin ever at the European Championships. 83 seconds she took that title by. Oof. She was just so dominant. And she says, Megan Keith, she doesn't really see the point in running a race unless it's flat out. She doesn't enjoy the caginess. Let's just go for it. So I think she will feel really at home here.
Oh, that's sad for Machado. Goodness me. She was at the press conference yesterday, looked very comfortable and ready for a great race, but clearly something's not right for her. And she steps aside and decides enough is enough. It's a really tough decision, isn't it? Because it contradicts everything that's going on in your heart, in your head, that tells you you should keep running through the pain and the challenges as a middle and long distance runner. But maybe it's the wise decision on the day. Battocletti just beginning to throw back at Chan a little of what the Turkey athlete has been delivering over the last 5 minutes or so, but the gap behind these four is growing all the time.
That was going to be my question. You mentioned it earlier on. I think it was between Ferreira and Monanen in the women's under-23 race. You want to just let your competitors know you're there. You don't want them to relax. And I can't tell whether Battocletti's poised to make a move or she's just kind of showing Yasmin Chan that I'm absolutely fine. You know, this is, you know, I can just dilly-dally around with you here, sharing the lead. I'm out for a stroll. Because, you know, Keith, conversely for me, and Lati at the moment, I think unfortunately the Swede is just doing everything she can to hold on. But Keith is just saying, I'm happy just to stay out of trouble. I don't even register. I don't want to get involved in that competitive energy. I'm putting everything into just sticking here to try and stay with these two perhaps pre-race favourites.
No, you make a good point. I mean, I guess what the other three are wondering here, because they know about Battocletti's qualities. They know that when she turns the screw, she'll be very hard to live with. As I say that, so Sarah Lati looks like she's really struggling now, back in 4th place. She looks quite supreme, winning that Tilburg cross country 2 weeks ago, which incorporated the Dutch championships. I mean, she destroyed the field, frankly. But here she is up against people who are more than her match on this day, at least, and these three moving away. But I wonder if Megan Keith is just thinking at some point Battocletti is going to up the game. She's going to turn it up a notch and start making us work harder, and I'm going to have to work very, very hard to go with her. And as I say that, Hannah, so Megan goes for it.
And this is the personality and the racecraft she's shown, you know, through the age groups. So just, you know, she can't, almost, you show Megan Keith a lead. It's like a red flag to a bull. She just, oh, go on then.
A carrot.
Like a carrot. She's like,
carrot to a Red Bull.
Yes, let's just.
Something like that.
Yeah, they have those in Portugal. You know, Keith just wants to push. And you know, Yasmin Chan, like I say, she is always a slightly unknown quantity. She looks great so far, but the likes of Lisa Rooms here, Jana van Lent, Chloe Herbier, what a run she is having off the back of that 2020, that 2 hours 20 in Valencia. Herbier is right there. They've got to keep the hope alive that one of these three women here has overcooked it. They've got to believe that they can't all match this pace and they've still got time to catch someone.
And you made it the point just now as we see Belgium leading from Italy and Turkey, Great Britain in 4th at the moment. It's really tight, though, apart from Belgium, who are way out in front. You made the point that Sarah Lati has made the wise decision to just try and survive now. She's managing her race. There she's left a picture in that Swedish yellow, way behind these three now that she was with a couple of minutes ago. But there's a real danger of her now being caught by those Belgians. A trio of Belgians, Rooms, Van Lent and Herbier. Wow, that is special packing from the Belgians. But good to see Megan Keith throwing back everything at Battocletti at the moment with nearly 16 minutes on the clock that's being served her way.
I see, it's such a talented trio in Chan, Battocletti and Keith. and I think sort of 3 real students of this event. I've been here year in, year out. And you mentioned the history there of Battocletti taking the under-20, under-23 and senior titles, becoming the first woman to do so last year. If Keith won, she'd match that. You know, it's a tall ask here for the Scot. And you talk about athletes that have got big summers ahead. Megan Keith has already been selected to represent the Commonwealth, Scotland at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow towards the end of July. And she'd love to back that up with a strong performance at the European Championships in Birmingham.
In some respects, Megan Keith has been a little bit under the radar. I don't know if she's had the media coverage, the recognition she deserves. We only think she's run 30.36 for 10,000 and 14.43 for 5,000, 8.38 for 3,000. She's got good speed, great strength, and she's probably capable of matching at least Chan, I think, in these circumstances. Battocletti, that might be a big ask.
And I think Megan Keith's had a fair share of injuries over the last couple of years. She qualified, oh, here we go, let's have a look at this Belgian squad. Look at that packing, Rooms, Van Lent, Herbier, Sarah Lati just being swallowed up by the Belgians. And a great run from Elena Boucard. I think she's in about her 7th representation here for Germany, and she could be on for one of her highest finishes. Garte Guillemot, the 1500 metre specialist, in the top 10 as well. At the moment, Belgium, massive stranglehold going on in a team race. 16 points at the moment, Italy on 38, Britain in 39, so they've nudged themselves ahead of France. But Keith, Tim, I think it's those injury disruptions that have just taken that momentum away. She took a great bronze in Rome at the European Championships behind Battocletti and Van Ays, and then was injured for the Olympics. She couldn't show her best performance in Paris. So when she gets a clean bill of health, Megan Keith is competitive. She's getting dropped at the moment by Chan and Battocletti, but without that consistency, I think that profile is just looming, I think, for Keith. Hopefully she'll get there in the next couple of years.
Well, she and her coach Roche Cairns have been a fabulous pairing. Born in Inverness, up in the northeast coast of Scotland, Megan Keith. And if you can train up in the weather up there, then you can train in the weather anywhere, as they say. Here are the Belgians on a charge. What astonishing packing. They're in 4th, 5th and 7th at the moment. Megan Keith is being asked big questions here. She's got to try and hang on to Chan here. Chan is struggling. The Turkey athlete in red, Hannah, is also having her own problems. And I think that Megan Keith's got to forget about Battocletti now, because, look, she's away. But the battle for the 2nd and 3rd place is something she can really, she can win, I think.
And this is what I mean about these 3 having so much experience in this event. I think Keith and Chan committed to this race, and they, you know, in doing that, they pulled the 3 of them away from here, away from the rest of the pack. But I think this does show really good maturity from Chan and Keith, just to say we can't just go, you can't run with your heart when you've got to be out here for 25 minutes or so. You can't pig-headedly kind of go, I'm going to run with Battocletti until I drop to the floor, because that's going to cost you a medal. And I think Battocletti has just turned the screw. I think at the end of the hill here on this lap, she just started to put her foot down and she kicked off the top of it. That's the mark of a true cross-country runner, isn't it? You get to the top of the hill and then you just kick on down. And this time Battocletti will take the bell in what I think is building in to a race win, a race dominating winning margin.
Well, there was about a 13-second gap behind these 3 to the Belgian pack that's coming through. Let's see what it is now. Megan Keith 5 seconds down. Battocletti is really putting the pressure on now. I think with every 100 meters she's accelerating and moving away. But look, the 4th placer yet hasn't come through. There it is, 24 seconds down on Battocletti. So between Megan Keith and the Belgian, that Belgian trio, there's 19 seconds now. I think we're looking at the 3 medalists, barring disaster.
I think it has been a committed move, like I said, from Keith and Chan to put themselves in the medal zone. And with just 1 lap to go, you'd think that would be enough, but the lap splits have come in. 5:01 for the 2nd lap, 5:03, then 4:58. That's what Battocletti has done just there. And that's what's given her the advantage over Chan and
She's a
Keith.
lovely, smooth-looking runner too, isn't she? I mean, she really does kiss the ground with those feet and move with such ease. I mean, it's very fluid running from Battocletti. And she is everything. She is the marketing man's dream, as I said, when you look at her academic excellence. Now there's a move from Keith.
That's a strong move from Keith as she approaches this hill. You mentioned sort of the weather running up in Scotland, never mind the terrain. I think, you know, we think of the hills and the ice and everything that Megan Keith with a grown-up running in. And she did say that with that attitude to races. You know, it's hard, everything I do is hard, just bring that to the races. Battocletti skips over the 3 little lumps here. There goes Megan Keith side by side with the 4-time champion, the bronze medalist from last year. Keith putting pressure on the Turkish athlete. Remember Battocletti, the first time she tried to win this title in Brussels, she was beaten by Karolina Grovdal. It was only the next year that she went on to win that string of all the age group titles. So you look at Megan Keith, there's a similar pattern going on here. She's graduated to the senior ranks, she's put herself on the podium. She's not going to become the champion today, I don't think, but perhaps Megan Keith could be another one of those athletes to then move on to taking all 3 of those age group titles.
Is that the first time we've mentioned Grovdal? Because she is with child. That's why she's not here. If some of you were wondering where Karolina Bjørkli Grovdal of Norway is, she won in 2021, 22 and 23 this title before Battocletti. Well, everything was on course, and then all of a sudden, guess what happened? And we wish her absolutely the best through these next few months, and hopefully a return to the fray of competition. Battocletti, 12 seconds, 13 seconds, and look at the gap back to the Belgian trio. Isn't that astonishing packing from the Belgians, though? It
is, and Van Lent, 4th last year, looks well on for 4th, but Chloe Herbier, she is 7 days removed from a record-breaking run in Valencia. She took 3rd place.
That's ridiculous.
And she is in 6th place here in the European Championships. Fionnuala McCormack did that a few years ago. She ran 2:23 for an Irish record, and then came 9th in Dublin when Ireland hosted the championship. So I knew it was possible, but Chloe Herbier, you kind of say, you know, if she went even faster in the marathon, maybe she's going to be 15th, but instead she's outperforming kind of the trail that Fionnuala McCormack set.
Belgium, Italy, Great Britain, France and the Netherlands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Italy in silver medal positions at the moment, and Battocletti could be heading here for a brace of medals. It certainly looks like it at the moment.
So Battocletti, full of running here, is working her way up one of the final uphill stretches here. It's going to be a dominant team gold for Belgium. But every position will count behind that for the other teams trying to get themselves onto the podium. Keith leaning into the hill here. What a run this will be for Megan Keith.
Absolutely brilliant that she's broken Chan. For British viewers, of course. Good to see Chan back.
And Chan is building up one of the medal resumes for the ages. Just to see her back on a podium. I was surprised to see her back on a podium in Antalya, and she looks like she's going to back it up here. But Battocletti, the hard running is done for the Italian. She's on the penultimate straight here in Lagoa. I find so often at the European Cross Country Championships that people try and try and try to win these titles, and once they win them, there's no stopping them. And Battocletti has won this title here again in style. She's streaking ahead. It's been 2 under-20 golds, 2 under-23 golds, and now for Nadia Battocletti, a 2nd senior gold here at the European Championships. Megan Keith, a medal as a senior on the track, and now a medal as a senior on the cross country. But Battocletti, arms aloft, takes another European title. The Italian absolutely untouchable here in Lagoa. Megan Keith, a well-judged, well-paced race from the Brit. Takes a silver medal, and Yasmin Chan again on the podium. Winning margin of 15 seconds for Battocletti. Gap between Keith and Chan, 6 seconds, and here come the Belgians. What a day. Jana van Lent, another 4th place for her. Lisa Rooms with a smile on her face. She's got a couple of corners left to go. She'll take 5th. It's been a good run here from one of the Dutch athletes to get herself up among the Belgians. It's Matug Chloe Herbier, MVP for the Belgians, being excused for taking the weekend off, but she doesn't. She comes through in 7th to secure team gold. Elena Boucard, great finish in 8th. Sarah Lati, another top 10 for her. And Fiona Everard, the Irish champion, getting herself in the top 10.
Well, I don't think there's much doubt that the Belgians have taken team gold, but have the Italians got a super silver? Battocletti, can she add something to that? Look at that, only 10 athletes within a minute of Battocletti. That's how dominant her run was. That winning margin unofficially 15 seconds for the Italian athletes out on the floor, having given 101%. But that's a brilliant run from Megan Keith.
Look at that absolute war zone down there after senior women's race. Nadia Battocletti with that huge Italian flag. She's had that round her shoulders so much in the last 5-6 years. That woman currently holds European 10,000, 5,000, 10K on the road and cross-country titles. She is untouchable in Europe, and she's converted that to being a true contender on the world stage, with medals in the last 2 summers at the Olympics and then at the World Championships. Not quite the fairy tale ending for the Italians. They have got another team medal unofficially coming up on my computer in 3rd place. Britain just getting themselves into 2nd. Apologies, I think the Italians have just been bumped down. Also not had their 3rd counter in yet.
She's made of different stuff, isn't she, Nadia Battocletti? Her dad, Giuliano, was 17th in the World Cross Country back in 2001. He was also 1994 World Junior 5,000 metre bronze medalist. So she has the genes, so to speak. She has the desire, and she certainly has the temperament. That is a magnificent run from Battocletti. And she, frankly, only really worked hard the second half, didn't she? I think that winning margin, 15 seconds, could have been substantially more.
And you can see, just as Nadia Battocletti comes across the line here to continue her streak as European champion with 6 fingers aloft, that's 6 European cross-country titles. She's nearing in, perhaps on Sergei Lebed. I don't know, well, he did all his ones as a senior, didn't he? But just phenomenal from Battocletti. And Megan Keith will be delighted with that, as will Yasmin Chan, I'm sure. I think, you know, to win 4 individual titles, but then come back, make more and more podiums. She's just such sort of a barometer of the European Cross Championships, Yasmin Chan. She's always there or thereabouts. You can gauge your effort off her. But a great, well-deserved podium.
Well, just the one race to come then, the senior men's race. That's due off at 12:41. So what, in about 12 minutes' time? It remains a glorious day here in the Western Algarve. We're in Lagoa. If you've joined us in the last few minutes, it's a rather lovely city. Only about 80,000 strong, apparently, but a city that has ambitions for becoming a centre of sporting excellence, with this specially constructed cross-country course in this park near the centre of town, near the port. And the weather has really blessed us here today. If you'd seen the weather on Friday, if it had been prevailing here today, there'd hardly been a soul here, spectators-wise. It was pouring with rain, it was windy, it was cold, it was ghastly. There were massive puddles everywhere across the roads. I'm sure there had been some flooding further inland. But this is, it's like a different world today. And as you said, was it 16 degrees?
Yes, that's it.
Doesn't feel it.
We're in the shade. I think out there in the sunshine. Glorious, great to see Battocletti alongside so many women that she came through those age groups with. This is a cohort, a generation of Italian athletes that have been pulled up onto European team podiums by Battocletti. There's the official result of the senior women's race here in Lagoa. Nadia Battocletti, consecutive titles. Megan Keith, the silver, and Yasmin Chan, the bronze. Verity Ockenden, late replacement for the Brits, getting herself high up on the pecking order, just ahead of Poppy Tank. And the Irish, great to have 10th place showing from them. As we go down Just completing the field here. Great to see the athlete refugee team represented by Abaroji. We have got a couple of athlete refugee team members in the men's race as well. You see just a few DNFs, not too bad, just the one perhaps. So,
well, there
good
was
showing on this
Portuguese.
course. Of course, Machado hasn't turned up on that list.
Not yet. That's a bit strange.
Here's the team result for the women's race here in the seniors. Belgium, 16 points, so dominant here ahead of Great Britain and France. And that gold medal for Belgium, that puts them on top of the medal table so far here in Lagoa. They've taken 3 gold medals, individual and team, in the under-20 race. And now...
I am Nadia Battocletti. Sign up now to the European Athletics YouTube channel.